What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. In this video, we're going to be talking about the upcoming fusion, Lysanthir Beastbane. We got him in the background right now. The fusion will start April 7th. It's going to be a Monday, 3 days time as of this upload time. We're going to give our reaction to his kit and see if this fusion is actually worth going for. So let's jump right into it. All right, guys, first things first. So here is the kit for Lysanthir Beastbane. He is a high elf. He's defense based. And he's Spirit Affinity. Similar to Lysandra, I guess. Lysandra is also Spirit Affinity, but she's not defense-based or anything like that. Let's jump into this guy's kit. First, A1, Echo Bolt. Single target hit, double hit. First hit has a 100% chance fully booked to place Hex on one target for 2 turns. It also places a increased damage buff on this champion by itself. I mean, a single target Hex, 100% chance to Hex, doesn't feel particularly strong. It does include a little buff as well. He is a defense-based damage dealer, so having the increased crit damage is helpful. 4 books into his A1. His A2, Wily Hunter. 5 turn to cooldown, books down to 3 turns. Attacks one enemy twice, has a 20% chance of repeating the attack. So 20% of the time you get 4 hits. When this champion counterattacks or teams up with allies to attack an enemy, so ally attack, will use this skill instead of their default skill. Damage inflicted with this skill increases by 10% each time an ally is devoured. Stacks up to 50%. So this is an interestingly, like a kind of a new mechanic here, I guess. It's having a buff based on Hydra Devour. Now, if you're going to use this guy outside of Hydra, he doesn't get any of this bonus, which kind of sucks. So is the, potential of just having an ability that just hits twice, potentially 4 times, worth it? Because even though like his A2 may be stronger than his A1 does apply Hex as well as giving him a crit damage buff. So who knows if the A2 being used for the ally attacks or the counter attacks is more beneficial than the A1. And then of course you don't benefit from the Hydra Devour stacks if you're not in Hydra. It's interesting. A2, interesting that Plarium would go in this direction. Is very pigeonholed ability, I think. If there's no, if it's not great by itself. But we will see. We have to check out the multipliers, right? Obviously, in the test server, for a damage dealer, the multipliers are going to make or break the champion. His A3, Rune Snares, 5 turn down to 3 turn when fully booked. Attacks all enemies twice, so it's a double hit against all enemies. Each hit has a 75%, 100% chance when fully booked of placing big decreased speed and weaken for 2 turns. If the target is under Hex, place these debuffs before attacking. Okay, so if it's under Hex, that means it just places it before attacking, which means no weak hits. But honestly, that's such a weak conditional, that's such a weak conditional upside. Like it's an upside, but it feels like a weak one. Is a 3 turn double hit, decrease speed, weaken good? I would say it's good. Yes, it's very, very useful. Decrease speed and weaken are very good for Hydra, obviously. And then if his abilities hit hard, that would be nice. I can't see it hitting hard though. No ignore defense or anything like that. He's defense based as well. Like, how hard can they reasonably make this guy hit? So I have very low expectations on his damage output. Maybe I'll be surprised. But decreased speed and weaken are incredibly good. And, a lot of, progression accounts might struggle with these 2 debuffs, having them on the Hydra team. So this guy could fill that role. And he also brings a single target Hex as well. So although he doesn't apply the AoE Hex, a single target Hex could be a backup Hex, for example. So not too shabby of a Hydra kit. Let's check out his passive here real quick. Survivalist Supreme will ignore life barrier and ally protection buffs. Increases this champion's defense by 5% for each active buff on this champion up to 50%. So you need 10. You need 10 to max him out. So this is something new as well. Having an ability focus around life barrier. So if you guys don't know, life barrier is the buff that the Hydra gets when the Head of Decay can place an extra buff on one of the heads. So it's the gray bar. It's basically just like an extra shield type buff. So he can ignore that. So basically what this passive is supposed to help with is if your teammate gets devoured and then that specific Hydra head places the life barrier, this champion will ignore that life barrier, allowing you to basically free your teammate a little bit easier. Ally protection buffs, obviously the head of suffering places the ally protection, which protects everybody from additional damage. So it's a little bit helpful there, I guess. And then he has a built-in heaven cast ability, basically increases the champion's defense by 5% for each active buff on this champion. Up to 10. So you need 10 buffs for this guy to get max advantage, and you need it on him consistently to get his max damage output from his passive. And then finally his aura, 28% in for defense in all battles. So now that's the kit. So I'm going to give my honest opinion just reading the text here and just from my general sense of this champion. A1 is reasonable. His A2, I am not sure. The A2 looks very, very weak, especially just for like general areas, because you don't get the bonus from the Hydra mechanic, getting devoured. There's not really many there's no places other than Hydra where your champions can really be devoured. So the A2, you're not really getting any other benefit. You're just getting a potential quad hit on his A2. So his A2 needs to hit really hard for it to be anything. And then his A3 is the best part about his kit. Decrease speed and weaken on a single ability on a 3-turn cooldown. Solid. And if it hits hard, even better. His passive is very, very underwhelming. It might as well say will ignore ally protection. For general use. Life barrier also is very situational. It is a buff that happens, basically regularly, right? It happens almost every time you fight Hydra. But how often will ignoring life barrier matter that much? How much will it matter really that much? Ally protection, sure. You can ignore ally protection in, areas outside of Hydra and it'll be okay. Like for example, even arena ally protection ignore can be okay. But it's a basically very weak front part of that passive. And then the second part, highly disappointing to be honest. The 10 stacks to reach the max damage output is not easy. It's not easy to hit 10 buffs on a champion. And I mean, for Hydra, sure, you can do it. But it's not easy to always have that up. And there's champions nowadays that basically gain stats or gain damage just by reaching a threshold once. And then they have it all the time. So this champion needs these buffs up all the time. Otherwise, he's not going to get any additional damage. And the damage output only at 50% is not even overly impressive or anything like that. And they even, skimmed off a little bit of percentage from his aura. His aura is 28% defense in all battles. It's very interesting. It's actually, lower than the standard 30%. Marius is 35% defense in all battles. This guy is 28. In my opinion, his kit looks pretty watered down. He is a damage dealer, so the verdict's still out until we figure out if this guy can hit or not. If he can crank damage, then there's something to talk about here. But if he does not, then this guy is basically a vault champion or a faction guardian champion only. Now, of course, the silver lining in all this is that we just got Fabian, and we just did Fabian's 5-star soul event. So it could be a situation where a lot of people just say, hey, I'm just going to take a break, focus on Fabian for a little bit. I'm not saying that's the case right now. Obviously, wait for, the showcases to come out before we make our last judgment on Lysanthir here. But just based on his overall kit, he is a Hydra specialist. He's a damage dealer. He has conditional effects and benefits against Hydra. But in other areas, he does not, carry those benefits over, which is a bit of a drag. And he has no other ways of really making up for losing those kind of special Hydra conditions, I guess. Anyways, overall, a little bit underwhelming with his kit, but like I said, silver lining is we get a little bit of a chill month, so we can focus on building out our Fabian and, you know, just playtesting him and stuff like that. But anyways, make sure you guys check out the showcases for this champion before we make our final verdicts. But my initial reaction is this is a below average champion. So anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate your time as always. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Maybe I'm missing something here. Would love to hear your thoughts about this champion. Anyways, thanks for watching. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you guys in the next video.